Welcome. So, if you've ever felt the sheer exhaustion of modern life, the burnout, the endless hustle, that lingering feeling that you're just running on empty, trust me, you are not alone. But what if the blueprint for ultimate vitality was actually written centuries ago? Today, we are decoding an ancient Taoist text known as the太上保真养生论. This explainer is your guide to mastering ancient laws of nature, balancing our internal energies, and completely rethinking our daily lifestyle. Let's explore some ancient wisdom that is shockingly relevant to how we live today.
Here is our roadmap for this explainer. First, we'll look at the cosmic origins of life. Then, the internal battle between spirit and chi. Next, the daily traps of depletion. And finally, preserving truth via natural laws. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. Cosmic Origins of Life, Moving from Heaven to Humanity.
The text frames human existence within these vast, fleeting laws of the universe. It states, "The way of heaven is yin and yang. Humanity is the most spiritual, but life flashes by like lightning, never to return." Wow, it's a beautiful but kind of stark reminder, right? Our time here is incredibly finite. Because of that brief spark, we've got to actively learn to protect and cultivate our vitality while we actually have it. According to Laozi's teachings found within the text, a human life is constructed step by step in the womb from these huge cosmic forces. In month 1, essence and blood coagulate. By month 3, the young spirit forms, and that brings the capacity for movement. Then, in month 4, the yin spirit anchors us with stillness. Month 5 is when the 5 elements and organs settle into place. And finally, by month 10, chi is complete and life is fully formed. You're essentially this miniature universe, carefully built month by month.
All right, moving on to Section 2, the internal battle, spirit versus chi.
Now, the text presents this absolutely crucial ancient dichotomy. On one side, you've got a strong spirit. This is quiet, it's gentle, and it directly leads to a long life. On the flip side, we have strong chi. Now, I know modern wellness usually frames energy as this purely good thing, but this specific Taoist framework warns that an overly aggressive chi, one driven by anger, extreme ambition, or intense desire, actually leads to a short life. So, prioritizing a calm, resilient spirit over an emotionally volatile chi, that's the absolute foundation of longevity here.
The text deepens this with a really fascinating psychological framework. Basically, we have two contrasting elements battling it out inside us. First is the soul, or hun, which loves life and literally rejoices when you do good deeds. But then there's the corporeal soul, or pu, and this part actually delights in decline and evil. It's a super vivid way of saying that your moral choices have literal biological consequences. Doing good actively nourishes the part of you that wants to thrive, but harboring negativity, anger, or deceit, well, that feeds a destructive internal force that's actually rooting for your own breakdown.
To manage all this, the text gives us a brilliant metaphor. Think of your body like the ultimate internal corporate structure. The heart is the ruler, kind of like the CEO. It has to remain quiet, centered, and relatively inactive to make good decisions. The chi, on the other hand, acts as the messenger, the workforce, which needs to constantly flow and never stagnate. Think about it. If the heart, the boss, panics, overworks, and gets swept up in anxiety, the messengers scatter, instructions get totally lost, and the whole biological company basically goes under. Keep the ruler calm, and the messengers will do their jobs perfectly.
Which brings us to Section 3, Daily Traps of Depletion.
30,000 days. The text bluntly states that a standard human lifespan is roughly 30,000 days. That's about 82 years. When you actually look at that number, it hits hard, doesn't it? It directly challenges us to ask, how much damage are we doing to ourselves on any given one of those finite days? Every single day is literally a withdrawal from a bank account that only holds 30,000 coins.
And here is exactly how we waste those coins. Our everyday actions create silent internal injuries. Overthinking? That harms your will. Physical overexertion damages your physical form. Over-scheming and constantly plotting destroys your wisdom. And extreme frustration fundamentally harms your chi. Our modern habits of endlessly worrying and chronically overworking are exactly what this ancient text warned would silently break down our biological systems. We are quite literally thinking ourselves into depletion. And hey, it's not just our thoughts. Even our diets are a trap. The text maps out exactly how an imbalance in the foods we eat acts like a slow axe to our lifespans over time. For instance, an excess of sour flavor damages the spleen. Too much sweet harms the kidney. Going overboard on spicy or pungent food damages the liver. Too much salt
That harms the heart, and an extreme of bitter flavor damages the lungs. It's all about harmony. A flavor profile that leans way too heavily in one direction for too long essentially creates an internal biological crisis.
So I've got to ask you directly, how are you subtly damaging your 30,000 days? Are you letting erratic emotions, constant overthinking, or an imbalanced lifestyle slowly chip away at your vitality? Just take a quick second to reflect on your own habits here. Because as the text warns, these subtle injuries don't always show up immediately, but they absolutely accumulate.
What's really fascinating here is how extreme actions lead to inevitable physical consequences, sometimes months down the line. Check this out. If you expose yourself to extreme heat in the winter, completely ignoring the natural cold, the text claims you're essentially inviting an epidemic in the spring. If you seek out extreme cold in the summer, you risk dysentery in the autumn. And this even extends to our physical posturing. Intense talking or laughing scatters the heart chi, and sitting for way too long damages your muscles and bones. Basically, ignoring natural seasonal temperatures and our physical limits practically guarantees future sickness and pain.
All right, finally, let's pivot to Section 4, Preserving Truth via Natural Laws.
So the Taoist secret to vitality? It isn't some magic pill, it's highly proactive prevention. Look at these actionable common sense rules. First, do not wait until you are starving to eat or parched to drink, because by then your system is already stressed out. Dress before you feel the chill and undress before you start breaking a sweat. Never expose a wet head to the wind as it invites illness. And this one is absolutely crucial. Don't sit or sleep to the point of total exhaustion. The whole idea is that you must intervene before your body reaches a state of crisis. It's all about maintaining a gentle, steady equilibrium.
And that equilibrium completely extends to how we sleep. We have to align our rest with the cycles of nature. During the vibrant seasons of spring and summer, we should be waking up early with the sun. Then, as we transition into autumn and winter, we need to adjust our sleep to match that retreating, quieter energy. The overarching rule here is super clear. Continuously align your physical rest with the 4 seasons. Remember, you're not a machine. You are a biological entity completely tied to the Earth's natural rhythms. I want to leave you with this incredibly powerful ancient metaphor. When we live aggressively, constantly stressing over status and material things, the ancient masters said it's exactly like trying to put out a fire by throwing firewood onto it. The more you chase, the faster you burn out. So, are you chasing endless desires like burning wood to put out a fire? Or are you actively cultivating a quiet mind and a centered heart to maximize those 30,000 days? The choice of how you spend your lightning flash of a life is entirely up to you. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope this ancient wisdom helps you find a bit more of your own modern balance.